that just want to hear their fucking names in the news. I will give VIP status to whoever can accurately map out what Joe Manchin's ideological positioning is in the world, okay? Or Kristen Cinemas. Beyond for a week, okay? Beyond just symbolic posturing. Do you understand? Because there's nothing. Like, you cannot comprehend it. Okay, I'll do it for a month. Like, there's nothing. There is no ideological positioning beyond symbolic posturing against the Democrats. Like, he's not... When the limitations occurred on the stimulus, limiting it from $100,000 to $80,000, right? Like, pulling it back from 75 to 80 instead of 75 to 100,000. Like, 12 million people get knocked out of coverage, and it's only, what, $19 billion or $12 billion that you're saving, but 20 million people and 5 million children are getting knocked out of like potentially getting stimulus packages, right? Like, that's not for the West Virginians. Like, there is no actual fucking austerity focus there. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there is no ideological positioning there that makes any sense. And it's wild that it's wild. Like, it's so wild that the constituency that they're fucking knocking out is literally all Democrats. Like, these people in the 80 to 100,000 margin are literally all like Joe Biden Democrats, okay? These are the guys who voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Like, they are middle class, upper middle class. They in a lot of instances live in like either suburbs that voted and literally turned the outcome of places like Georgia for Joe Biden, or they live in urban environments and they're definitely fucking Democrats as a consequence of living in urban environments. And you're basically just saying everyone else gets a dollar and you don't get shit for no reason whatsoever. For no reason. Like, nobody asked for this. Nobody fucking asked for this, okay? So it is mind-boggling to me that we are doing this compromise for the sake of compromise, I guess. But sometimes we just want to compromise for no reason, right? So when it comes to like Joe Manchin, I know where his allegiances are. His allegiances are with his ex-CEO daughter. I know that he got in trouble, right? But like, what is Joe Manchin's reasoning for why he would not want to expand voting rights? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, if you're a conservative Democrat, like, why the fuck are you also doing the thing where you're like, well, no, black people shouldn't be able to vote, actually? Like, then you're not a Democrat. If you are going to present yourself as opposition to this bill and genuinely present yourself as opposition to this bill, then you are literally a Democrat. Just switch party loyalty. And people who are saying like, oh, we're going to lose our majority. Well, at least you fucking now know, all right? Because we've already lost our majority because, newsflash, Joe Manchin is not a part of the majority and he literally never shows up. If he never shows up, then it doesn't matter that we are, that we have like a symbolic 50-50 split, because we don't. Like, there are Democrats on my timeline who consistently say, well, Joe Manchin, like, who else is going to get elected in that district? Like, it's either a Republican or Joe Manchin. First of all, okay, if it's a Republican or Joe Manchin, but Joe Manchin is acting out like a Republican, then what are you winning from this? Like, you're not winning anything. Stop fucking, stop attacking me because I want to pressure a Democrat to be a Democrat. If Joe Manchin was offering you some sort of victory by being a Democrat and voting alongside Democrats on big bills, because that's what the point is. That's why you want a Democrat to win a fucking seat, so that they show up when it matters, right? Not just for them to have a D on the side of their fucking name, idiots. Like, a majority for the sake of just having a majority doesn't mean anything if they're not fucking voting alongside the majority. But that's it. If not, Mitch controls the Senate. Okay, so what changes? Okay, Mitch McConnell controls the Senate. Here, I hate to do this to you, but when Mitch McConnell controlled the Senate and Republicans were in charge, they gave more money to the people. So remember that, okay? They gave more money than Joe Biden, and they're probably going to end up having historically given more money to the people than Joe Biden did. So just remember that. So it's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous to have this conversation over and over again. You just need him to keep the illusion of having more control in the Senate than they actually do, to be honest, though, considering they don't do anything anyways, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, if it's not Joe Manchin, they are gonna say it's the Senate parliamentarian or whatever. You know what I mean? One thing he does give you is court picks, which does matter a lot, but overall he's ass. I mean, that's ridiculous, though. That's absolutely ridiculous. Just try to deliberately replace him then. Put another person out there against Joe Manchin. Primary him out. Threaten to primary him. Put some fucking pressure on him. This is what you're supposed to do. Also, Joe Manchin literally voted for Kavanaugh. So whoever fucking said that Joe Manchin is like, you know, on the side of Democrats, like you're a silly bitch. Again, Joe Manchin is basically the same as a Mitt Romney or the same as a moderate Democrat. Do you understand? They don't have popular takes because they're just nameless puppets. Not that you'd know anything about that. What? The irony is that, like, when we're having this conversation about Joe Manchin, it started off with what his ideological positioning is, and not a single one of you were able to deliver a cohesive take on it. And instead, we're talking about his situation as the D and how we need to, like, you know, defend him as a Democrat in fucking West Virginia. I'm trying to figure out why he operates the way he does. And you can't give me the answer to that. So that's why you rely on the fear-mongering that, like, what will happen in a no Joe Manchin world, right? And it's ridiculous. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, if you're defending Joe Manchin as a Democrat or defending, like, not putting pressure on Joe Manchin as a Democrat, you are literally the stupidest part. You are dumber than Republicans who are anti-maskers, okay? Because you're supposed to know better. You're supposed to know better, and you're still so fucking dumb. And therefore, at least you don't have the shield of ignorance and the social conditioning that, like, Republican hogs have. You're supposed to know better, and you're still acting out in this way. You are also straight up advocating against your best interests here when you do that. So I do not have any sympathy for you. Think he's being an asshole maybe to appeal to the chuds in his state? Oh, that's really interesting that he wants to appeal to the chuds in his state. So he's taking a stance against the COVID bill, the COVID relief bill, which his own conservative governor is on board with. The overwhelming majority of Americans are on board with. The majority of West Virginians are on board with. That's kind of crazy that he is, you know, appealing to the chuds in his state by literally doing the unpopular thing. Oh my God. What a crazy situation we're in now for West Virginia and Joe Manchin's fucking future. Who is he appealing to? There is no constituency right now that's like, no, brother, we don't need it. We don't actually need the fucking, you know, $15 minimum wage. We don't actually want money from the government. Like, you think the fucking, the poor ass motherfuckers in West Virginia are like, oh, I would hate to get a pay raise. I would hate to get $4,000 more on average for doing the same work. That's what people in West Virginia are saying. Anyway, 6% of West Virginia supported. It literally does nothing but make the Dems look awful. I swear the Dems are nothing but control the opposition. Yeah, it's just awful. I hate it, but I'm sorry. I'm right in this. And I was right in this when I said Joe Manchin's going to have a fucking field day going forward. Everyone's going to keep talking about him. I even tweeted about it as soon as the Georgia, like literally we had a second to celebrate the victory of the Georgia Senate races. And what did I tell you? I was like, Joe Manchin is going to be the #1 name you hear all the fucking time. Maybe Kirsten Sinema as well. This kind of mentality, the way I operate, unfortunately, is the reason why I can't enjoy small victories like, I don't know, being able to start cooking meth in No Pixel Grand Theft Auto with the Clean Boys, right? So as soon as we get an opportunity to move upwards in the grand scheme of things, in like doing crime and shit, I'm immediately thinking 2 steps ahead. Like, all right, we're gonna need to start creating distribution and delivery mechanisms. We're gonna probably have to hire more people as well to cover the rest of the employees when we train the rest of the employees for delivering meth or cooking meth, whichever one we do. You know, that's the reason why I can't fucking enjoy anything ever. And of course, I am referencing a video game and not like actually cooking meth. Don't be ridiculous.
Curtail or end the filibuster to allow the Senate to pass legislation establishing a nationwide floor of voting rights, even in the teeth of this effort by Republicans across the country, which has probably done the most widespread and sustained.
The funniest thing is, like, okay, what if Joe Manchin doesn't vote for all the court appointments and only votes yay on a Democrat Supreme Court justice? Is it okay then? Is it still okay that we have a Democrat there instead of literally anyone else? Like, you're like, how far down are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go to grovel and beg and fucking sit on your hands and knees and cry? To shit and piss in your fucking pants? Wait, at what point will you say, yeah, it's kind of fucked up, like we need to do something about this, like we need to put pressure on him as a party? This is the reason why the ACA is the state that it is, that we never got the public option. Joe Lieberman was playing the role of Joe Manchin under the Obama administration as well. There were plenty of fucking problems that I have pointed out a million times over that I was worried the Democrats were going to engage in. And one big one is not whipping your own fucking caucus. Yeah. All right, that was January 5th. Literally the moment that it fucking happened. Damn, horny Yoda was not fucking horny on that one. What the fuck? Pacific Tsunami Warning Center says widespread hazardous tsunami waves possible after 8.0 quake near the Kermadec Islands. Oh no. Jesus Christ, dude. 3rd magnitude 7+ earthquake. Why are you putting the flushed face after that? Shitty watercolor watches XQC. I mean, I watched this happen. Will this teach me anything about politics? I'm only classified age. I need to learn. Hawaii is under tsunami watch? Uh-oh. Okay, let's go back to fucking Dr. West. I got so triggered by Joe Manchin again that, like, I got fucking caught in a whirlwind here.
Your article is amazing, and you are always amazing as well, Professor. So I'm going to start with you, Ron. Your article, it really raises the alarm. You say that what happens over voting rights could be a turning point in the U.S., in U.S. democracy. House Democrats just passed this H.R. 1, as I mentioned, but there's a looming fight. Are they willing to pull out all the stops to expand voting rights instead of having it restricted in state houses across the country?
So far, the answer is most Democrats are, but maybe not enough. We just don't know if Joe Manchin or Kirsten Sinema will be willing to curtail or end the filibuster to allow the Senate to pass legislation establishing a nationwide floor of voting rights, even in the teeth of this effort by Republicans across the country, which has probably done the most widespread and sustained effort to roll back the right to the vote since the Jim Crow era in the South, since before the Voting Rights Act. And, you know, what's really striking is that this is proceeding, many of the states in which this is proceeding most aggressively, whether it's Georgia or Arizona or Texas or Florida, are states where a majority of everybody who's aged into the electorate since 2016, a majority of the kids who've turned 18 since 2016 are kids of color. And so I think what you're seeing is Republicans.
Dude, when Republicans hear that stat, they're like, oh, God. Oh, fuck. That's precisely why they're always going to be against any sort of legislation that makes it easier for black kids to vote.
Trying to stack sandbags against that rising demographic tide in these states. And the
shitting on Democrats, shaking my head, just admit that you're a Republican and move on. I am a Republican, dude. Yeah, going forward, I'm just a Republican. I'd probably get more play from liberals if I literally called myself a Republican, criticized Democrats all the fucking time, and then every now and then said, like, you know, this person is homophobic or racist. Like, Democrats would probably listen to me more if I literally portrayed myself in a Tim Pool capacity like I was a fucking legitimate Republican. If I said the exact same things I say all the fucking time as a Republican, liberals would be like, oh my God, like, he's actually kind of woke. Like, he's one of these woke Republicans. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, honestly, seriously, because they are endlessly fascinated with the fucking moronic shit that Republicans say. And they're willing to listen and hear out Republicans because they think, like, they're more conservative than them, and liberals are very fucking conservative.
Will take what may be their last chance between now and 2022 to establish a nationwide floor of voting rights that stops this towering wave of voter suppression.
So, Professor West, listen, we've discussed these issues before, but not, you know, this is happening now, right? And this is frightening. These bills are just beyond outrageous. The one that passed in Georgia, in the Georgia House this week, limits early voting on weekends, requires more identification for absentee voting, restricts drop boxes. This is going to disproportionately affect black Americans. Are we entering a new Jim Crow era?
Well, you know, I want to thank Brother Ron for his contributions on this, and happy birthday to you, though, brother. I know you turned 50-something on Monday, and you share a birthday with the great Harry Belafonte, who was born in Jim Crow. His elegance, his nobility ought to teach us something, namely that the backlash is real. There's no doubt about that. You talk about the big lie in terms of the election. The bigger lie is white supremacy, my brother, the various ways in which white supremacy develops, reshapes, refashions itself, to not just engage in voter suppression of black voters, but to not allow us to have a vision so we could have a multiracial solidarity to change this nation in the name of poor and working people, disproportionately black, brown, and indigenous. But it cuts across the board, my brother.
Republicans admitted, Professor, just this week in a SCOTUS hearing that making it harder to vote is what they need, that they have to do that in order to win.
Bro, are you just, like, what are they doing? What are you guys doing right now? What's happening here? You don't know how to fucking operate a computer? Like, what's going on, dude? Come on, guys, figure it out. Freaking boomers.
They said, because this puts us at a disadvantage, and that's why we want to change these things. And, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but that was almost a direct quote. What does it say that they are willing to embrace racist policies in order to achieve that?
Well, brother, you and I know that, you know, we're not surprised by evil or paralyzed by despair, that they supported a neo-fascist gangster. So that they have no deep commitment to democracy. This is crude power. This makes Machiavelli.
Oh, I think it might actually be the guy who is clipping that has like a fucked up window.
Frown in the grave, because he wasn't this crude. He wasn't this vulgar. So at this point, they would allow for the democracy itself to collapse in the name of power, in the name of greed. But we shouldn't be surprised. We got to armor ourselves. Brother Ron.
Jesus Christ.
Insights, variety of other insights, how do we ensure both the preservation of what's left of the democracy and then the expansion of it?
Ron, you point out that Democrat. Go ahead. What did you want to say?
I was just going to say that that's why this moment is so critical. I mean, if you look at the Supreme Court, the 6-3 Republican Supreme Court, they are not going to put a brake or erect an obstacle to what Republicans are doing in the states. If you look at the states that are moving to suppress the vote, they are by and large mostly places where Republicans hold the upper hand now with a coalition based on older white voters. And as I said, they are trying to create these barriers, these sandbags against the rising tide of demographic change in those states. It's going to be very hard to win in those states. So if the one lever that Democrats have to try to protect the basic rules of democracy is that they control both chambers of Congress and the White House today, if they let this opportunity go and they don't find a way to get around the Republican filibuster in the Senate, in 2022, the very acts in these states, the suppression and the gerrymandering that's coming could cost them one or both chambers of Congress. They will lose the opportunity to set national voting rules. And at that point, there will be nothing in the way. The road will be clear for kind of an endless succession of suppression and gerrymanders that inhibits the rise of the diverse younger generations in particular. And I point out in another story this week, all of this is occurring, Don, as the baby boom is since 1980, the baby boom has been the largest generation in the electorate, predominantly white baby boom. In 2024, for the first time, Z and millennials will be larger, and this is when it's happening.
Yeah. Professor West, what I love about you is that you don't give a damn what people think about you, right? And you have been critical of a lot of Democrats in the past. You say that they haven't been willing to go to the mat on important issues. Will they step up on voter suppression because the stakes are real?
Nope. I don't think so. Okay, so there are certain things, right? I've moved beyond morality. Because beyond the morality of like making sure that there is true equality for all Americans to participate in the democratic process, beyond the morality of such a legislative agenda item, like following through on that legislative agenda, I think Democrats don't even care about fucking maintaining their position of power. I do. I think they just don't care. If they cared about like actually winning elections, they would hyper focus on making sure that as many college educated youths are out there as possible. They would look for initiatives to make college free. Okay? Because that is an automatic fucking talent pool for the Democratic Party. Okay? That's one. If they truly cared about winning, and if they truly cared about winning the midterm elections, for example, they would be going balls to the wall, super fucking aggressive on anyone within their ranks that is posing opposition to this bill at hand. We would not be talking. We would not be talking at all about Joe Manchin right now. We would already be spear dicking this immediate COVID relief plus the $15 minimum wage, which is a really important part of their campaign promises through the budget reconciliation. There are many ways in which they could have furthered the conversation and left it on Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema's doorstep, basically, and whipped them and continued to put pressure on them. And they didn't do it. It makes no sense to me that they do not do this. It straight up makes no sense. Unless you assume that they want to lose. So that they can consistently say, well, Republicans are really bad. Look, they are preventing us from, we lost the election, we lost the midterms, now Republicans own the majority in Senate. We have the president, but, we can't really do anything. Look at us. Look at our symbolic posturing. Look at our symbolic posturing and how much we want to do things that are anti-racist in nature. But when we do have the power, we just couldn't get cowardly Joe Manchin to go along with like wanting allowing black people to vote or in ease of vote. Imagine campaigning to tell voters you can't do anything. I mean, that's what they do. It is what they do. There is nothing better. There was no better gift to the Democratic Party than someone like Donald Trump. No better gift to the Democratic Party than someone like Donald Trump and also someone like Mitch McConnell maintaining the majority power in the Senate. Because then they could turn around and be like, look, we have the House. We're putting up all these symbolic bills, but oh, God, we just can't get them pushed through. We just can't We just can't push these bills through. Come on, we just have nothing. We have no power. Oops. But like, hey, if you vote for us, when we do have power, we'll get shit done. We'll do good things. Okay, well, right now you do have power. And you are talking about how marginal that power is. And how it's not enough.
Really, really, really high.
I agree with you. We're going to have to put strong pressure on them because they won't do it by themselves. Too much cowardliness and spinelessness, but the right kind of pressure based on both principle as well as tremendous effort, collective effort. You see what's going on right now in Texas with the workers coming together. In order to deal with it. Those are the kinds of collective actions that we need in order to deal with this crucial moment that Brother Ron is highlighting here today.
Yeah. Ron, the former Vice President Pence is now continuing the big lie, saying that there was election fraud in 2020. He's accusing Democrats who wanted to expand voting of an unconstitutional power grab. This is the same Pence who was hunting.
You literally voted Biden? Yeah, who cares? Like, I don't understand. Should that stop me from being critical of Joseph Robinette? I'm confused. Like, also, what was the alternative? Let's say, what did you do? You voted for Trump then? Did you do a great job with that? You voted for the Green Party? Is that what happened? Like, I never understand this. I never understand this take. Like, okay, you voted for PSL. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you are. I'm glad that you have all of the moral high ground here, I guess. I don't understand. Not only did I vote, but I was very critical of Joe Biden. I did not want Joe Biden to be my candidate. I still don't want Joe Biden to be the candidate. He's fucking dog shit. I never stopped criticizing him, which is precisely why a lot of liberals constantly shit on me and say that I'm a fucking Republican or something. I don't know how I donated $1 to Kirsten Gillibrand. I still don't know what happened on that day. You've got a delusional belief that corporates are ever going to concede a crumb to working people? No, it's not a delusional belief. It's like saying I have a delusional belief that Bernie Sanders is going to win. You're mistaking what I want to happen with what I believe is going to happen. If there's one thing you can't attribute to me, it's optimism, okay? I am a perpetually pessimistic person. As a matter of fact, a lot of people criticize me for my very moderate and very centered in reality fucking takes about the future of America and about the future of the Democratic Party. In a lot of circumstances, leftists will get frustrated with what I have to say and claim that I'm a doomer. I will also qualify when I want something to happen, and I will give you reasons as to why it should happen, not only from a leftist point of view, not only from like my own moral framework, but also on top of that, I will give you arguments. I will give you arguments as to why Democrats should do this from the point of view of Democrats exclusively caring about winning seats and maintaining their position of power. And I do this because I want to exhaust every argument possible as to why Democrats are not doing this, so that we can deduct from everything that we have mentioned that there must be an alternative reason for why Democrats are operating this way. And that alternative reason, I speculate, is their interest in losing their grip on power so they can continue fucking fundraising from all of you hogs and me as well, and milking us like the cattle that we are by showing how cruel the Republican Party is. And they are cruel. They are cruel as fuck. The one thing that the Democratic establishment does, and does very effectively, is provide a stopgap measure for any sort of progressive momentum happening in this country. They are very good at killing progressive momentum in this country. But guess what? If there is a crumb of hope out of this sea of disparity, that crumb comes from the fact that there are more and more leftist candidates winning positions of power, winning seats within the Democratic Party. Okay? Hassan, this is utterly ridiculous. They would make more money if they were the dominant party. You are utterly wrong. You are literally wrong. They would not. Because being the dominant party and actually following through on the legislative agenda items that they've put forward as the values that they espouse are supposedly progressive, they would literally lose their main benefactors, corporations. If they truly cared about income inequality in the way that they claim they care about it, they would have to at least scale back. They would have to scale back Wall Street growth dramatically. They would have to enforce regulations on numerous industries that they take advantage of currently as corporate beneficiaries. Okay? And they would lose out on a gigantic chunk of their main corporate benefactors. Yeah, their big donors would fucking own them. Absolutely own them. Do you understand? And also, Democrats raise more money by during Trump's admin than at any time before. Yeah, exactly. Orange Man bad and having like a perfect villain allows Democrats to fundraise like a motherfucker too. Acting as if they are not just controlled opposition by the people who also donate to the Republicans. Exactly. It is a charade in many ways. And every now and then, the powers, those in positions of power, allow you to have fucking crumbs. And you have a unique opportunity to feel a sense of hope, right? With, the $15 minimum wage increase, which is long overdue, right? And you get a sense of hope. And then it's robbed and taken from you.
By rioters because of these bogus fraud claims. And by the way, the people who want these restrictions, they're doing these restrictions all on the pretense that there was some sort of voter fraud. It's a big lie as well. And maybe, as I said in the opening of the show at 10 o'clock, maybe that's just the whole point of it, is that they can use this whole big lie in order to win elections, right? Because they, in a fraudulent way, because they can't win it legitimately.
So much for the Civil War, right? I mean, what you're seeing up and down the Republican Party in the states, and every Republican, for example, voting against H.R. 1, what you're seeing, I think, up and down the party is that the fear of demographic eclipse has eroded the commitment to the basic rules of small d democracy. And what is, I think, especially important for Democrats to understand is that if they don't establish a nationwide floor of voting rights and voting protections in the next few years, and Republicans win control of Congress and then perhaps win control of the White House with the help of the suppression that they're undertaking in the states, Donald Trump signaled last Sunday at CPAC, and Rick Scott has already introduced legislation that would try to impose these red state restrictions nationally, to impose them on the blue states. It's kind of a version of Lincoln saying, we can't survive half free, half slave, and half free if there is not a nationwide basically framework of voting rights. There may well be a nationwide framework of voting restrictions sometime in this decade. Again, precisely as the U.S. is undergoing this profound demographic transition. None of that is a coincidence.
Ron, keep informing people. Professor, keep up the fight. Thank you very much. I'll see
Small d democracy is like democracy, the democratic process, allowing the majority to rule. Big D Democrats is the Democratic Party. It's supposed to mean small government involved. Big D got you ever. Isn't it funny that Republicans hate big government, yet they want to federally limit access to voting? Have you ever spoken to Professor West? I have not. Middle D is my rape name? What? Oh fuck, that's insta ban right there. Probably meant rap. Well, talk to the fucking talk to the moderators. Republicans only hate big government when it inconveniences them. No, they don't even hate big government. They never hate big government. Okay, they love big government. They love federal restrictions. It's just that, it's a way for them to use. Dude, this guy's been asking about Claudia Conway. Like, dude, I don't care, dude. I'm sorry. Stop. I don't want to do anything with that family. I don't understand what the fuck's going on there, and you probably shouldn't care so much about it either, because like it's very creepy. The fascination that like fully grown ass adult liberals have with Claudia Conway has always weirded me the fuck out. I'd never cover it. I think it's really fucking weird. I'm sorry if you enjoy that sort of shit. I'm not going to touch that.
And I, would describe a lot of people on the right as being socialists. I would consider Steve Bannon to be a socialist. I would consider the 2016 iteration of Donald Trump, the candidate, to be a socialist based on what he was saying. I consider Tucker Carlson to be a socialist. Now if you have Governor Cuomo, who wants to give, tens of millions of dollars to Amazon to bring an office to New York, you have AOC, an actual self-identified socialist, standing up and saying, this is outrageous. And then you have Tucker Carlson going on his Fox News program and saying, I agree with her completely. Because I think people are realizing that neoliberalism doesn't work. And I think the real right-left difference, to the extent that those terms even have any currency or coherence, I think you see in France.
I like that. I love this take, because as conservatives often do, Glenn Greenwald is operating like a conservative here, and literally defeating the purpose, like destroying the argument that he is concocting in the first 30 seconds with the last 30 seconds of the same argument, like the same sentence, by straight up saying these words don't mean anything. Yeah, okay, man, you're right. They literally don't mean anything if you think that, Trump is a socialist or Tucker Carlson is a socialist, because every now and then he presents himself as a person who is against like big companies. Like, I can't believe this. Listen, you don't have to be like a gigantic theory nerd to comprehend that Tucker Carlson is a gigantic grifter and has always been a libertarian, and a right-wing libertarian, not like a left libertarian. Okay, wild to me to assume that the warmongering Tucker Carlson, who now takes like a lighter stance on war now, somewhat isolationist, who still aggravates against minorities and whatnot, is considered a socialist because they want the American Volk, which would be like the WASPs, I guess, to maintain their grip of power and have a larger piece of the pie overall, while the main argument that Tucker Carlson is launching every night is literally doing racial agitprop against minorities. Tucker Carlson is a fake populist. Okay, he adopts left-wing economic populism sometimes, specifically to drive home his real agenda of WASP nationalism. And I know another person who used to do that. I've been saying this for years, but people don't listen to me. And I know that this is a big cliche, but it's Hitler. That's what Hitler did as well. And it's not like Hitler is known for his socialism. The person who sided with the corporations and was backed by the corporations and corporate funders and, privatized gigantic swaths of the German economy at the time in comparison to where it was, is not a fucking socialist because he still put forward the Autobahn contracts. Okay, Hitler wasn't known for his social democratic policies. He was known for his nationalism. So considering Tucker Carlson to be a fucking considering Tucker Carlson to be a socialist is really in line with what idiotic Dinesh D'Souza style Republicans say about how Nazis were actually socialists because that's in the name, despite the fact that they literally killed socialists, and they are not nationalists, even though that's also in the name. And there's no reason for why they're not actually nationalists, but they are. They weren't. And a person that is saying this sort of stuff is so psychotic. I don't know what else to say here. I don't know what else I can say. Have you heard some of the takes by Adam Curtis recently? No, I have not. I think what has happened because of neoliberals in positions of power in the global political arena adopting the aesthetics of progress by latching on to straight identity politics has created so many reactionary points of view within those who otherwise truly at some point had the best interests of the working class. There are so many people who just like despise identity politics or what they perceive to be identity politics because of the way that intersectional feminism and intersectionality in general has purposely avoided the conversation around class in mainstream media, and people have just lost their fucking minds. Instead of steering that ship in the right direction, they have decided to completely abandon it in its entirety and assume that a big part of being working class implies that you have to literally fucking shit on marginalized people. It's ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous that especially because it avoids the reality that so many of these marginalized communities are literally a part of the working class. But the reality that a lot of people on the left don't want to recognize is that that kind of reactionary politics is actually very popular. It is. It is very popular. It's very easy to say, these guys are fucking ridiculous. Because, I'm sorry, picturing a better world, picturing a more egalitarian society is kind of foolish at times. And when you are running on the belief that, like, if you set the rules in the way that you want to see the world, when you have no fucking power whatsoever, when those in positions of power are simply aesthetically adopting the rules that you live by, and you operate on that worldview and navigate the world like everyone is fucking committing a thought crime or whatever the fuck Republicans consider it whenever they are toxic or whenever they actually engage in some sort of microaggression, then, you know, you're going to lose a lot of allies, which is why I always say you have to sell your point of view. And the way you sell your point of view, the way you sell trans rights to everyone is by first hammering on the class point of view that impacts all or the largest group of individuals. You tell people Medicare for all means all people, okay? That includes fucking Nazis even, all right? Which is why I always say this. And then when they say, well, I don't want trans people to have healthcare, I'm like, really? You're gonna say no to fucking healthcare because trans people are gonna get it? You're a psychopath. Shut the fuck up. No, you're gonna suck it the fuck up and you're gonna take this free motherfucking healthcare, bitch. Okay? Anyway. Hi, I'm from Twitter, just letting you know that we are starting a hashtag to cancel you for saying Nazis deserve healthcare. Stay safe. Yeah, I don't really care. I stand by that position all the time. I've talked about it many times over. I'm going to continue on with this video, but before I continue on, I know it's a bait. I know that's bait. It's a joke. But it is top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 6-second ad break because I'm a gross sellout secret neoliberal or whatever the fuck. I'm going to run my ads as always. Top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 6-second ad break, boys. If you no longer want to see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription. Use it on your favorite streamer. Hopefully it's me. And here is the ad. And I'll continue with the video now.
Even have any currency or coherence. I think you see in France too, like Marine Le Pen, you know, the fascist far-right candidate, when she ran both times, she ran to the left of Macron for sure. But even the French socialists, in terms of wanting to give workers better benefits and better pensions. So I think.
So here's the thing I do not understand, right? Here's the thing I do not understand. So when Glenn is skeptical of the Democratic Party, understandably, whenever the Democratic Party says things like, we care about the workers, we care about the working class, we care about workers' rights, he's understandably skeptical of them and says, oh, fuck these guys, they're lying to you. All they care about is like, you know, corporate overreach, they're corporate overlords that, you know, line their pockets. So why isn't he just as skeptical of reactionaries all around the world? That's the thing I do not understand, because Tucker Carlson has never shown any interest, not even as much as the fake ass fucking Democratic Party, with regards to like increasing the minimum wage or marginally bettering the lives of the American working class. I've never seen Tucker Carlson take a staunch position on taxing the wealthy, for example. He very rarely talks about it because that's actually something that would put him at odds with those who line his fucking pockets. So why is Glenn Greenwald not as skeptical of Tucker Carlson and will adopt the terminology that Tucker Carlson wants to put out, as though he is like genuinely interested in bettering the material conditions of the white working class, at least in America, which I don't even think Tucker Carlson wants, right? Like, why the fuck is he not as skeptical of Tucker Carlson and Marie Le Pen as he is of the Democratic Party? This makes no sense to me whatsoever. It makes no sense. Let's see what he has to say. Did you read any of the articles I wrote on this topic, or listen to the full context of the interview where this was discussed, or are you proudly responding to the 6-word snippet the Daily Caller social media manager fed you to get you to do what you're doing? So look how easy social media managers play these people. They feed them a 6-word snippet. They get excited and think, oh, good, I can mock this without having to do any work and get people on my side. Then they're off to the races. Okay, but I want to understand what his position is. Like, I don't want to see the fucking 6-word snippet. Does he talk about his actual fucking position or not? I feel like the bigger point he's making is about populism versus neoliberalism, and how voters from both sides of the spectrum are realizing that neoliberal order is failing them. I don't think Glenn is someone to shit on marginalized people. I feel like his views are really shaped by South American coverage, where it's really populism versus neoliberalism. Like Bolivia is a great example of that. Yeah, except the difference is he also very clearly has demonstrated time and time again that he does not give a fuck about trans people. He is, I'm sorry, like, I think he literally feels as though trans rights is basically a byproduct of like neoliberal identity politics, and that trans people should be an afterthought, and any trans person that talks about fucking trans people is, you know, just doing bullshit. I think there is a point that he gets frustrated. The point that he gets frustrated at is literally when homophobia is demonstrated by those he is like somewhat aligned with, and in that point he does like marginal pushback. Do you see what I'm saying? He will do marginal pushback whenever homophobia is expressed within his like newfound audience, because he's fucking gay. So obviously he's gonna push back on homophobia. Like, he's an advocate for gay rights. He's a gay man himself. But when it comes to like other things that some on the anti-identity politics left has declared to be like ridiculous, like sex work or trans rights and shit like that, he is very quick to belittle that level of activism. I engage in some pushback when I feel as though, from a position of profound privilege that I have still, when you know, trans people or trans activists are advocating for things that I consider is going to be unfathomable to the majority, to a degree that like it is, you know, overboard or whatever. I don't know how to describe it. How else to describe it? Like when someone says Womixin or someone is like engaging in that sort of thing, like just like throwing X's every now and then in different places. Like that shit is aesthetic. It's bullshit. You push back more in GTRP than Glenn does in real life. I mean, yeah. There are plenty of intersectional theory folk who focus on class, actually. No. I know that the original works, including the person who coined the term intersectionality, is literally a fucking Bernard brother, a Bernard sister. And yes, I know that a lot of queer theory utilizes Marxist theory, anarchist theory, blah, blah, blah. Intersectionality has to feature class. Intersectionality has to be placed atop of a dialectical materialist framework. I don't have a problem with that. That's how I see it. That's how I look at it. But what I was trying to simply state is that intersectionality in the way that it's demonstrated through popular culture and through mainstream politics is demonstrated in the most liberal capitalist way possible. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the problem. So people will immediately attribute intersectionality or any sort of like cause that features identity as a negative way because they are reminded of the Tumblr style social justice warrior movements. Am I speaking in like really long and convoluted sentences and it's like getting a little difficult to comprehend, or I don't know, people are fucking shitting on it a little bit. A lot of people are saying yes. Do you think about the Tories? They are the British Conservative Party. Yeah, I know what the Tories are. Hold on. I'm not going to talk about that right now. In a certain sense, it is a distraction. Zizek, while in full support of trans people, explained that the foregrounding the issue of trans rights as the democratic establishment is not a winning strategy when they are trying to win the hearts and minds of normal people. This is a tactic obfuscation of class and material politics. Yes, Hassan, I agree with you. I mean, I've said this as well, but it also doesn't mean that trans rights take a back seat. You know what I mean? Because understandably, a lot of activists within marginalized communities are legitimately fearful of as a consequence of their past experiences, or learn the lessons of history where those who want to uplift the socioeconomic position of Americans, like he means normal as in like normies, not normal as in like trans people are abnormal. He means normal people as in Normans, okay? Normies, Normans, those who do not fucking understand, those who have grown up in the world that most people grow up in, where there is a somewhat rigid binary, okay? Somewhat rigid binary of gender choices, or it's not a choice, and cannot even comprehend a world beyond the two fucking genders, okay? Glenn just got alienated by the Democratic Party that managed to neuter the American left and make class take a back seat. What? You gotta mix the trans rights pill in with other pills and shove it down people's throats, lol. Hey, that's my advocacy for it. That's the way I do it. Like I engage in pushback when I see transphobia happening. I describe to people what my worldview is and what I think is best to do. I think you invoke dialectical materialism. People don't know what that phrase means, me included. Okay, it should be grounded. Your intersectionality should be grounded within a framework where the world is designed around commodity production, how goods are produced, and how labor and the relationship between those who work under a boss and the fucking bosses themselves. That is what the world is designed around. Okay? And people should move from that starting point and build blocks on top of that. If you've ever worked a job, and I do this, I literally talk about this all the time. Yeah, those who give the work and those who take the work, or those who are hiring versus those who are working in those positions. The employer versus the employee. I'm trying to simplify it in terms, okay? Gender issues slash social issues seem to be extracted out of class analysis and is done easily by normies or media without the inclusion of both forces. We are just lost. Not bosses and employees, is the capital owners and laborers. Bosses are laborers too. My guy, I'm trying to describe it without using fucking 200-year-old terminology for those to fucking understand it. I've talked plenty about the relationship between the proletariat and the bourgeois class here, but like I'm literally trying to just like describe it in the simplest terms possible by pointing to contextualizations and concepts that people understand, okay? No, bosses are engaging in labor as well. Your manager is still technically doing wage labor as well. That wage labor oftentimes, unfortunately, is aligned with the interests of the capital owning class, though.
The vision is, you know, you have this kind of right-wing populism, which really is socialism, that says we should close our borders, not allow unconstrained immigration. And
yeah, that's just what Tucker Carlson wants. He just wants to close our borders and you know, not allow unconstrained. All right, someone send me the fucking long clip of this. I want to see. I want to see the whole thing. I need to see the whole thing because it's so stupid. Yeah, socialism is when closed borders and doing immigration control. After the pandemic, have you thought about doing lectures on what, dude? I'm a fucking idiot. I can't do lectures on shit, dude.
Welcome back, Daily Caller.
Okay, I want to see.
A media outlet here, a Brazilian branch of The Intercept, have done a lot of reporting here in Brazil.
I want to see where the no. I want to see like the entire. You see Greg Abbott shifting blame to immigrants? Yeah, socialist. Greg Abbott is a socialist too. The Biden administration is recklessly releasing hundreds of illegal immigrants who have COVID into Texas communities. The Biden admin must immediately end this callous act that exposes Texans and Americans to COVID. Yeah. See, there you go. That's well, what a socialist that guy is. Does anyone know where it is? Yes, I don't think Tucker Carlson is a socialist chatter. The chatter who said, I don't think he's a socialist. He, of course, is not a socialist. He is literally anti-socialist. COVID is not real, so why would that matter, right, lol? Exactly. Homie just ended the mask mandate and is talking about COVID spreading. Yeah, I don't understand. How long will it take for Hassan to finally lose respect? I mean, I have already. I've lost all of the chunks of respect that I had for Glenn Greenwald. It's just that ultimately